Good morning, everyone. It's Brenda Quintana here, live from the Beehive at cupiesquest.com. Today, I'm going to be stamping my card from Casing Tuesday. In case you don't know what Casing Tuesday is that my downline and we pick a card out of the catalog every Tuesday and we copy it, but we change some things about it. So the card that we're doing today is on page 181 of the annual catalog. So if you have the annual catalog, pull it out so you can see the card that we're copying live. And good morning, Janine. And so we're copying that card today. Today is a beautiful sunny day in Boston, and hopefully later on I'll get a chance to enjoy it a little bit. I have some videos to film today. This week, or today, is August 1st, and it's the first day that customers can order the Carols of Christmas bundle, or you can order the stamp set and the Thinlits separately. So that's kind of cool. And my card today features that bundle. And in fact, all this week, I'm going to be featuring the Carols of Christmas bundle on my blog so you can see different things that you can do with this bundle. And I really, really like it. I think it's versatile and it's sweet. And so I will show you that in a second. If you have any questions while I'm doing the video or Facebook Live, just go ahead and put them in the comment area and I will try to answer them live. If I miss it for some reason, sometimes the comments scroll rather quickly. If I miss it, I will go back later today and check out to make sure there weren't any questions. So that's what we're doing today. Today in my family, not too much going on. My son is home today. He's 16 and he works some days, but today he's home, so it's kind of nice to have him home today. And so why don't we get started, and I'm going to show you the card we're going to case and my card, and then I'm going to show you how to do my card. Oh, and the cool thing about my card is that I figured out a little trick to do with the card front builder Thinlits, the frame from it, so to create a smaller layer, which I think you're going to really like, because I'll show you in a second. Let me switch my camera around and then we'll get to it. Okay, there's my view this morning. It's really pretty out there. There's the, I don't know if you can see it, but in the background you can see a little purple. That's purple loosestrife, which is kind of, some people don't like it because it's a little bit of a weed, but it looks really, really pretty this time of year. Okay, let me get my camera situated. Okay, I think we're good. Okay, so today's card is on page 181 of the annual catalog. It's this one right here. It doesn't have much of an image, it just has a bunch of words, be unique. But what I liked about this card is it has a big focal point. You can add some washi tape. There's some doily down here, and then there's a banner going on in the background. Good morning, Rita. And good morning, Janie. I didn't see you earlier. And so I think it's a great layout to work with. It looks a little bright and maybe a little bit scary, but take a closer look at it. I think it's really a doable casing card when you get down to it. So I took that card and I created this card. So I left out the washi tape and I left out the doily. The washi tape would have covered up my frame, and the doily was just a little bit too busy once I added this holly background. So I just didn't add those two, but I think I still have the essence of the card. I have the focal point, which is on an angle, and I have this banner in the background, and I also have kind of a little bit of a textured background with the holly going on. So I think if you hold up the cards like side by side, I think you can kind of see the essence of this card in this card. So that's kind of cool. So let's get started. Oh, and I wanted to show you one thing. So when you use the frame, let me pull it out. Here's the Carols of Christmas stamp set. and here are the card front builder thinlits, and this is the little frame that you use. And normally when you make this frame, you use it twice. You run it through the Big Shot twice, and you run it through once on this side and then once on the other side, and it creates this pretty frame you can see right here. But I wanted to have like a smaller frame, so I'll show you in a minute how I did that. But you can see my frame is about the size of just this this piece, so it's a little, gives you a little bit something extra to do, because I know we're all trying to figure out how to frame up our words a little bit, so I think that's kind of a cool thing. So do I want to show you anything else? Oh, yes. So this is the card I made on Monday with the same frame. And this one I cut right into a little note card. So if I've already got the instructions for this on a video on YouTube. So if you want to check that out, you can check that out. Okay, so let's get started on this card. I think the first thing that we should do is we should stamp the ornaments, because we have to die cut them. And I want to do all my die cutting at once. So I've got a piece of thick Whisper White. It's just a scrap piece. It doesn't have any particular dimensions. And I'm going to only be using my Cherry Cobbler ink pad, just one ink pad today. So let me open that up. And I don't know, if you have Cherry Cobbler, you may have noticed that it has the gold sheen disease. Don't worry about that. My ink pad still stamps just as well as it did. It just has a bit of a gold sheen, I think. I don't know if the, something has separated out, but it still stamps the same color, Cherry Cobbler. And I just keep re-inking it when it dries out, and it's absolutely fine. So if you have the gold sheen disease on your ink pad, on your Cherry Cobbler, don't worry, it should still be fine. So I'm just going to take these little ornaments. There's 2 sets of ornaments in this stamp set, so you can choose either one. I think all the ornaments are the same, they're just in a different order. So I'm just going to lightly ink that up and stamp that onto my little scrap piece. I'm using a light touch because I want to not lose the detail of my ornament. So I'm just kind of really a light touch, and I'm making sure my ink pad isn't too inky to start off with. If it's too inky, it's going to bleed into that white area, and you don't want that. You want to try and keep as much detail as possible. Okay, so I think we can go ahead and get our Big Shot out, or my Big Shot out. Grab that. I've got a star stuck to my Big Shot from before. Let me grab that and get rid of it. I've got my magnetic platform here, because for this card, it really helps if you have your magnetic platform. It's a little bit easier to place everything. So I've got my little ornaments here, and now I just need to figure out which one of these fits. I think it's this one. Yeah, this one right here. And this one would be for the other stamp. And that way you can cut these little guys out without having to fussy cut them, because I don't think I would fussy cut those, because they're just even a little bit too small to fit in your hand to cut them. So let me just go ahead and cut these out real quick. And these are going to be my little embellishments for later. So those little guys, like that. Just really cute and easy. I'm going to set those aside for the moment, and then we can get rid of this scrap piece. All right, now this is the hard part of the card. It's not really hard, it's just you need to be particular about how you do the cutting and the setting up. So for this layer, I'm using a piece of thick Whisper White, and I've cut it to 4 inches by 3 inches. Let me get rid of my ornaments. So I'm going to place this piece on my magnetic platform. I've already got one cutting plate down. I'm going to take my frame, and I've noticed right now that there's a little piece of a white dot stuck to the inside of that. You want to make sure that your die is free of any stuff from the last time you cut, if you cut already. And I'm just going to line this up in my little thing right here. I'm going to hold this up to a camera in a second. Okay, I think this is good. I'm trying to have the same amount of white space on all those three sides, so you can see. So the first cut, you just want to make sure that it is kind of, you know, centered on one side properly. So I'm going to go ahead and run this through now. Sometimes it helps if you actually shift this on an angle. If you can shift it without shifting your die on the piece, it helps if you run this die through on an angle. Otherwise, you end up with really big loud bangs when you're cutting it through. So I'm going to cut this through. And then I want to run it through again because I want to make sure that those little pieces get cut out. So let's pull this off. And I'm going to use my paper piercing tool to poke these out. You could also use your die brush, but I just want to really be gentle with this because I don't want to expand this line right here that's in between these two slots. I just want to be really gentle with it because we have to run it through one more time. So that's kind of the tricky part with this. You need to kind of be a little bit more gentle than you would with your regular die cuts. So just kind of clean that out. So that looks good. And let me get rid of all the debris real quick. And then I also want to make sure my die is cleaned out. So if it has any little paper chad stuck to it, make sure you get rid of those because, let me see, okay, there's some down here at the bottom, these little guys. Just really quick. Okay, so now it's time for phase 2. Now the trick with this is I'm going to hold this up to the camera. You want to make sure that the bottom of your die, these two legs, they are going to end up in this leaf right here and this leaf right here. So you're going to make sure that overlaps with that frame without going over it. Okay? And then the other thing you need to do when you flip this over, your slots need to line back up again. So those are the two things you need to look for. Let me hold this up to the camera so you can see. See how that's like overlapping right into that leaf? You need to have that on both sides. And then I can kind of just feel it with my fingers. I flip it over to the back, but I can kind of feel with my fingers that those slots are lined up. If they're not lined up, I'll show you what's going to happen. But that's what you need to do. Make sure those the bottom is into the leaf and make sure those are lined up. I know I'm talking a lot, but if you get that right, then this will work. And if not, we're going to be cutting a second one. So let's see if I got it right on the first time. And I'm going to go back over it again because I want to make sure this is cut. And you can hear how loud that was. That's because I didn't stick this on an angle. Okay, so let's see. Yep, I did it. So look, the slots are still intact here over on the side. And then you just need to remove these excess pieces. So what this will do that probably isn't as desirable, but we do end up with an extra dot here on all four sides. You probably won't, you would never really notice it when you're looking at my card, but just so you know that those dots are going to be there and they're supposed to be there. There's no way that you can get rid of those, but I don't think they're very noticeable, and I think the frame is super cool. So what happens if you don't cut it quite right? I'll show you what happens when you don't take the time to line it up, or if you're too rough with this inner piece. sometimes it becomes like a little too stretchy and it ends up stretching out into where the die cut area is. So you'll end up with this, like you'll end up with this middle piece cut through somehow. It didn't fit in the slots properly. So if that happens, you know, either decide you can live with that, or you just have to cut another one. So those are the options. But I think the frame is worth it. And I think once you've cut a few, you'll understand how to do it and it won't be an issue. So that is my super cool little tricky frame technique. So, oh, and then we need to do some embossing. So let me get rid of this magnetic platform for a moment. And I'm going to bring in my regular platform minus the die cutting layer piece. So we're just at the base of my platform. I'm going to put down a cutting plate. I've got my Holly embossing folder, and I've got a piece of lemon lime twist cardstock, and this is the same size as a card front, so it's 5.5 by 4.25. So I'm just going to tuck this in, and I want to make sure that it is centered. So I'm trying to make sure that on the top and the bottom the same pattern is it's lined right here, coming right through here. My cardstock's lining up with that. I'm making sure that that's the same lined up at the bottom, so that my piece should be perfectly symmetrical once it's run through. Okay, sorry we blanked out there for a second. I hope my connection's not bad. I hope it doesn't continue to be bad. So this is the embossed piece. Now we can do our stamping. So this is my cool little frame piece. I'll bring in my Cherry Cobbler ink pad again. And I've got the Deck the Halls on this stamp right here. You could also use Peace on Earth, so whichever stamp you like. They're both about the same size, so they'll both fit inside this frame perfectly. So I'm just lining this up, and now I'm going to stamp it down like that. And that's basically all the stamping we need to do. Now I need to prep this banner layer, and I've cut a piece of garden green cardstock, and this is 5.5 by 2 inches. If you don't want to write down the measurements right now, go to my blog post afterwards, and I have all the measurements for the layers there for you. And that link is already in the description of this Facebook Live. Oh, someone is saying I'm still a little bit fuzzy. I'm sorry if I'm fuzzy. I really hope that it clears up for you guys. If anyone else can tell me, there's really not a whole lot I can do to get rid of the fuzziness, because if it is fuzzy, it's like my internet connection. I will go back and I will play the video, and if it really sucks, maybe I'll record my own version and do it again. But as far as the Facebook Live goes, I'm kind of at the mercy of my Wi-Fi. Okay, Janet says it's good. So I hope the person who said it was fuzzy will, I hope it becomes not fuzzy for you. Okay, so this is my garden green piece. I've got my triple banner punch. I'm going to open that now, and I'm going to punch this on both ends. Scoop that in. I love this punch. It's really easy to use. So that will be on that layer like that. And what else do we need? I think we can do the assembly now. So I'm going to use a piece of thick Whisper White cardstock. Oh, I'm glad that it's no longer fuzzy. Yay, that's awesome. Okay, this is my card base, a piece of thick Whisper White, and I've cut it to 8.5 by 4.25. And then I scored in half at the 5.5 inch mark. And that's what constitutes my card base. Then I'm going to put this layer on top. So let me grab some Tombow. I hope my Tombow is running well this morning. Oh, good it is. Sometimes it gets clogged and then I just use the end of a paper clip to clear it out. So glue on the back of my emboss layer, and I'm just going to center this on my card front. It should cover the entire card front, so just make sure it's straight. You have a couple of seconds with the Tombow. I try not to push it all the way down until I know that it's straight. Okay, now I can press down on that. Okay, and then this layer, what I'm going to do, let's see, it needs to be centered on here. So I'll just put a little bit of Tombow in the center here, and that should cover being stuck to here. So I'm just kind of holding it up in the air a little bit, moving it to the right place, making sure it's centered. Sometimes it's hard to do this in the air, but I think, no, it needs to be a bit more up. Okay. Why am I such a perfectionist? And it probably will still look crooked afterwards, so. Okay, I think that's good enough. And since I'm putting it on an angle, no, it needs to be a little bit this way. All right, since I'm putting it on an angle anyway, hopefully, like if it is a little bit crooked, it won't matter too much. So there's the little banner piece. So this is going to be adhered kind of on an angle. So let me just grab this banner piece, and I'm putting on lots of Tombow here because this piece is textured, so it's not going to have as many contact points. So I need to make sure that there's going to be enough contact points. So I'm just going to kind of center it on an angle. Does that make sense? So by centering it, I'm looking at here and here to make sure there's about the same space, and I'm looking here and here to make sure there's about the same amount of space from those 2 points and these 2 points. And that looks good, so I can kind of stick that down. Now for these little ornament guys, we have new mini dimensionals. Where are they? I just had them. Ah, they're hiding under everything. So these cute little mini dimensionals, and I love them because now I don't have to cut up my dimensionals anymore, so they fit right behind the ornaments. And I'm just gonna lift mine off with my paper piercing tool. Oh, come on. And then stick them on the backs. Let me turn these little guys around. Pull these off. Okay, they don't work as well as the jewels with the paper piercing tool, but let me just poke it off with my paper piercing tool and then put it down. All right, so now I just need to remove the backings, and I want one of my ornaments to go right here. Move the backing. There we go. One of them to go right here. And then the last one will go right here. And so then, you know what? This one needs to be on the same angle as my layer. Otherwise, it's not going to make me happy. Okay, so then I just need some rhinestone jewels, and I have some tidbits from a layer that I cut up. So I'm just going to poke these off with my paper piercing tool and add them to my card, just to make these look a little bit more like a little embellishment. Okay, and there is the card. It wasn't too hard. The hardest part of this card was the frame, but I think it's worth it because I think it's worth it because it adds so much without doing a whole lot. You know, you do have to line things up and run it through a couple of times, but it adds a lot to the card. And you can use this frame on many different cards. So it gives you another option. Instead of cutting out with a circle or stamping it on a square layer, now you have the option of this mini frame layer, which I think is really cool. Someone says, I don't know how to pronounce your name. That's why I say someone's, but I think it says Reels Cheatham. I don't know if I'm pronouncing your name wrong. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing it wrong, but she said she loves the mini dimensionals too. And I think they're absolutely great. And you get so many of them. Like these, you get more than one sheet. These sheets are going to last forever. So, I mean, it's really a great deal to get these because you're going to be using them for a long, long time. And it really saves you from having to cut up dimensionals, which really was never much fun because they're all so sticky. So, okay, I'm going to read your comment, Janine. Oh, Janine says she was kind of on the fence about this set, but I think you may have sold me. Well, I hope if this doesn't sell you on it, Janine, later on this week, I'm going to have some other projects with it too. I just wanted to show everyone the versatility of this set. So, you know, I just wanted to, you know, play with it this week. And, you know, since it's available for everyone starting today, it's really great. The neat thing too, when you buy these together as a bundle, you can save 10% versus just buying them individually. So I think it's really worth it, especially so you don't have to fussy cut the deer. And these trees right here are not in the stamp set. And one of my cards this week will be using these trees, and these trees are fabulous. They really layer up nicely in so many different ways that just to get it for the trees alone is awesome. But just it's a great set once you get to see all the different things that you can do with it. So what else do I need to tell you? The measurements are on my blog. The supply list is on my blog, and the blog link is in the description of this YouTube video. And if you want to join us for Casing Tuesday, because this is like a group thing, we don't case in a vacuum. And Catalina and I, we have a Facebook group, and we have quite a few members on there. I think we're up to like 300 or 400 now. But not everyone posts. A lot of people just kind of sit back and lurk. But if you want to try your hand at taking a card like this is this week's card, but you can go back and do some of our older challenges. You can take this card and make it your own, and then you can post it on our Casing Tuesday Facebook group, and then we can kind of all join in and share, which I think is really cool. So that's it. That's our Casing Tuesday card for today. Let me flip everyone around. Okay. So I hope you guys all have a great week, and I hope you check back on my blog later this week so that you can see the other things I've done with this bundle, because I do think it's a versatile bundle. And then in September, we'll have the whole holiday catalog to order from. And right now for customers, it's just this is the only new Christmas set that we have this month. It's the Carols of Christmas bundle. And if you want to find out more information, see closer up images, just click over to my blog, and there will be links to all of those products for you. So I hope you guys all have a great week, and I will see you back here next Tuesday. And take care until then. Bye for now.